Hey everybody, it's Funny here once again. Hope you're doing well. Today I'm rambling about the DivKid and making sound machines. It's the DivSkip. It sounds like this. Alright, so it's time for the DivKid making sound machines DivSkip video. I picked this one up used locally here in Vancouver. I thought it was a really good price and a really new module. It would be a good video to pick up and then do the video on it and then resell it after for the same price and then just basically get a video without having to lose any money on the module that I talk about. However, spending some time with this, jamming it out, I really like it. like I didn't think I would, and lots of people, I love drum modules, and people who I talk to all the time know that. Lots of people are always like, have you tried grids? Have you tried grids? Have you tried grids? People are always recommending me Mutable Instruments grids or one of its clones. And I was always kind of like, why would I want generative drum stuff, right? Like I like drum sequencing. I like step sequencers. I like all of that. Why would I want that? And everyone's like, okay, but they keep recommending it. And taking on the DivSkip, yeah. Well, why wouldn't I? Why wouldn't I want randomness, unpredictability, a little bit of probability even in the rack? Constantly syncopated, constantly evolving drum stuff. I love that. And yeah, they're right. So, okay, let's get into the actual DivSkip video. So 8 HP, 4 channels, 2 outputs per channel, and 4 modes per channel. They're independently controlled. It's not like one mode applies to all of them, but we're going to get into all of the individual modes. 4 modes available per channel. They can all be the same one. Currently, they're all in the first mode, or they can all be different modes, which we're probably going to do that to line it up in a moment here. But trigger or gate outputs, you also get CV control over probability. So if it wasn't random enough, you could also use CV to control your knob placements, basically. No lack of depth in anything in Eurorack, right? So there's also the trigger input, and generally speaking, you want to send clocks to these. You can do different clocks for every input, but they're also normalized. And I think in my situation, at least, I'm just going to send trigger into one, and then we'll generate different channels. So all of them, you don't have to mult it elsewhere and send them all in. So send it in the first input, and then all of your channels are receiving the same triggers. And then there's 2 outputs per channel below. There's trigger out A, trigger out B. And I think just on that, so you see this is like probability, right? If you watch how the lights are flashing, this one's going like A, B, B, A, right? The dual channel thing, at first I was kind of like, I don't know if I would want that so much. What's the reason? I would almost want them to output the same source, but it's actually really useful for something in my use of it anyway, like a hi-hat, where you put closed channel on one side, it's hitting it on that one trigger, but then the probability for the open hi-hats is a lot lower, so it goes close, 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 open. You know, I don't know what this is, but we're doing it anyway. So let's get into it now. Let's hear it. Right now I am patching it into the kick of the Ultra Kick. We're setting a clock from her mod. Let's turn this up a little bit. And we're just going to go through the different modes. And forgive me, manual's coming out today. I know someone's complaining about that in the other video, but you know what? I think it makes for a more detailed video rather than pretending that I know everything about every module. I'm just going to give it to you straight. So what you're hearing right now is mode 1. It's the Bernoulli gate, and it is basically a coin toss mode, right? If you're here, you've probably watched the DivKid video on it yourself. As it says, the Bernoulli gate takes an incoming trigger and determines by means of a coin toss whether to output it on trigger out A or B. The knob position sets the bias, so how likely the coin toss is to go into A or B. And I found this was really cool for doing fills, because you can go you can set it to do, because you can set it to do every trigger goes to A by means of making the probability 100%, right? But then you can also build up to it in that way, right? So, and mutes respectively. Right now everything's going to B. So yeah, I mean, it's also fun to do this. So let's bring in another kick on another voice and put that into the B output. Let's get a little more. Perkun's voice. So here's probability. Where's it going to land if we put in the middle? And again, this is where I think it's best suited to hi-hats, but we can make some fills this way, right? If we have that out, right? And then, oh, it's building up. You know, when will the bass drop? Now. So that's the Bernoulli gate. Maybe I'll quickly show you how I really like to use this one for hi-hats. And we're going to use a different channel just because it's patched into all the same thing. They're all in the same modes. We'll put this into our fourth channel. And I'm going to mute for a moment. So this is going into the middle and edge inputs of the WMD Crucible. So not a hi-hat module, but still two inputs, different modes, basically. And if we put this on one side, you can always send it to the one. And then always send it to the other. And then probability. And yes, not a hi-hat module like I discussed, but think like this is one of my favorite uses for using two channels in that mode. And like you saw in the first video, I think you can just like jam out a whole kit using these. Like there's just controllable probability. I really like that, right? And yeah, you maybe don't want every it's a nice way to make things exclusionary, if that makes sense. Is that the word I'm looking for? I want to do lots of kicks, but sometimes have the Perkun's voice, right? Lots of ultra kick. Here, let's zoom out so you can hear it. So you see on if A and B on here, we want lots of landing on the kicks, but bring it in with an occasional Perkun's voice, right? So we always have lots of 4 on the floor, not 4 on the floor. Yes, 4 on the floor. But occasionally we patch in another one. So that is it. We can do our performance stuff by way of patching in our clap. And getting some fill almost. And this starts to sound really syncopated, and I really like it, just to be honest. And yeah, I mean, I'm doing a bit of a ridiculous patch in this one, right? You probably would want to actually have a step sequencer and just use it for your kick, but I just want to demonstrate that like things can get really fun, really random, really iterative in that way, and that's how I was doing it in the first jam at least. So, making a mess of all those cables, let's zoom on back into the DivSkip, and that was the Bernoulli gate. What you do to change modes is hold down the button, and then when you let go, the thing I'll say right off the rip about this that annoys me, it doesn't tell you how long you've held it for. So once you've held it for 2 seconds, it'll do that. But like, I wish it just like you hold it and then it changed color when you've held it long enough. It doesn't do that. You just hold it for 2 seconds and let go. But anyway, I hope that made any semblance of sense. This is the mode selection screen of sorts. We'll go into the manual and I'm going to show you the graphic. So here, let's do this on this one. Forgive me. This shows you all your different ones. So we were in the red, the Bernoulli gate. 2 is a clock divider. I'm not going to show you the clock divider. There is some interesting things on there, though, that one channel is the opposite clock division too, right? So like there's some fun stuff. There's a patch idea in the book that says, take a 16th note clock and divide it by 4, or you get 3 or 6. That means you get syncopated opposites, right? So if I put this into clock divider mode, see the opposite channel is being divided up, right? So 1 is, you get mathematical opposites. And I just wanted to demonstrate that quick. This video is already way too long, but I just want to point that out, that that's a cool and unique thing that's different from, the usual clock divider that's just one channel, one output, right? You get those mathematical opposites. It's cool. Turing machine. So, Turing mode generates a random pattern, giving you control over loop length and the randomness of newly introduced steps, as made popular in Eurorack by Music Thing Modular's Turing machine. The LEDs show loop length, dimly lit, and whether a step is set, red highlight, and fires on channel A, or not set, fires on channel B. So a trigger input will right-hand shift the sequence by one step. From 0% in center position, the knob sets the pattern length 1 to 16 steps, looping a clock sequence. From center to 100, it gradually becomes more likely that random steps are added to the pattern. So yeah, see, it's getting a lot more dense on that right side. So imagine this mode working like a faucet knob and a sink, parentheses, sequence. Turn up the knob past 12 o'clock to let more random events drip or flow in. Turn it down all the way and play with the mix you created. So turn it all the way down to drain the sink to a small puddle of events. So yeah, you know a Turing machine probably if you're here, but let's play with this one. And again, you gotta clear it out. No, we're changing length right now. If you put in the opposite, it's gonna be like really open. And it's a Turing machine. I like the first mode the best. I'll admit that right off the rip. But if you have musical things, if you have an external quantizer that's choosing pitch for your stuff, yeah, I can see this one. Turn off the faucet. I think I'm actually changing the gate right now because I'm changing the sequence length. How do I? Oh, it froze it. I stopped it. Anyway, Turing machine, cool. Not so much what I'm here for. Euclidean split, however, very cool. This is the one that's in the purple-ish mode at the top. So Euclidean algorithm is a way of dividing an integer length. You know what Euclidean is. If you're here, you can probably explain it better than we can. But what's interesting about this one is it does this two-way split for the two different outputs, and you can kind of send more probability to one side versus the other side, right? While this may sound abstract to musicians, will be instantly familiar. Dividing the length of a 4x4 bar into 4 segments results in a pattern of 4 quarter notes. Dividing into 6 results into 2 groups of 3x3x2 patterns. Euclidean rhythms. Euclidean split. Let's get back into using our hi-hats again, because I think this split part of this will make for good 2 input, 1 voice. If we send more of that side, so again, more hits on that one. I don't know, this stuff is interesting, but maybe it feels a little bit like the end results aren't always super different. It's Euclidean does mean it's going to loop. It's going to hit the same amount on every time, right? So if you don't want that quote-unquote probability of the Bernoulli gate, you could always have a loop on this way in that regard. And I think this actually gets more interesting where we put them all into this Euclidean mode and end up with a super interesting, super syncopated for every channel. So I think what better way to end this video than doing that. And forgive me, nobody can do a better video than DivKid did on this one. And I mean, he made it. That's to be expected. I just wanted to show you how maybe you would use this in context of, you know, as a beginner and as someone picking up this module for, you know, on your own, how you would see things going. So we got our Euclideans in there, kicks in, it's nice and syncopated, but again, doesn't change over time, right? So no probability, no coin toss, no nothing. We just got syncopated repeating beats, and that is a thing of beauty. Now I'll say on this front, probably need faster than 50, go up to 120 BPM, 124. And yes. I'm going to link to somebody who I really like on YouTube who uses the DivKid for a lot of Euclidean stuff. And it sounds really good. My clap is a little high here. Everything else up. All right. Probability is great for drums. I don't know what I was thinking, believing otherwise. All right, I'm Tafony. Thank you so much for watching. Take care. Like, subscribe, comment, do all that crap that Google's always on my case about not promoting to you. So I will talk to you soon. Take care.